The forest felt wrong that evening. 6-year-old Arya had walked its paths all her life, but tonight the air was too still, too cold, too quiet. No crickets. No wind. Even the leaves seemed to hold their breath. She held her tiny lantern close to her chest, its glow trembling with her hands. Her father always said the forest belonged to the brave and the foolish. Arya wasn't brave. But she loved the woods, and the woods loved her back. At least, they used to. Tonight, every step felt like stepping into a secret she wasn't supposed to see. The deeper she went, the more the silence pressed against her ears. Her heart beat louder than the crunch of dry leaves under her boots. She had only come to find her wooden doll she had dropped earlier. Mama carved it for her before she died. Arya couldn't sleep without it. The little wolf carved on its dress made her feel safe. But as she turned past the old pine stump, she froze. A sound, weak, sharp, desperate. A whimper. Not the playful sound of a fox. Not the chatter of raccoons. This was the kind of sound a creature made when it was choosing between living and dying. Arya swallowed. Her breath misted in a small white cloud. She stepped forward, lantern lifted, her heart thudding against her ribs like a frightened bird. The whimper came again, louder this time, raw with pain. She followed it through the trees until she reached a clearing she had never seen before. And in the middle of it, something moved. A cage. Rotting wood. Bent iron bars. And inside, a wolf. Huge. Dark-furred. Breath shallow. Chest barely rising. He was curled awkwardly against the bars, as if he had thrown himself against them again and again until he ran out of strength. The scent of blood was thick in the air. Fresh. Metallic. Wrong. Arya gasped and stumbled backwards. The wolf lifted his head slowly, so slowly it seemed painful. His golden eyes met hers. Not wild, not empty, not violent. Sad. And tired. And pleading. Arya felt something tug inside her chest, something quiet and warm, like a whisper in a language she didn't know. Her lantern flickered. For a moment the forest didn't feel cold. For a moment she didn't feel small. She stepped closer. The wolf didn't move except for his breathing, thin and fragile like thread about to snap. Up close, she could see the wounds across his sides, the raw patches where fur had been ripped away, the bruising around his legs where chains had dug in. "Who did this to you?" she whispered. The wolf blinked slowly. Arya looked at the lock. Rusty. Old. Almost falling apart. Her small fingers reached for it on instinct. The wolf didn't growl. He didn't flinch. He only watched her with those glowing, tired eyes. Arya pushed the lock. It snapped open with a brittle crack. The cage door creaked as she pulled it. For a moment nothing happened. Then the wolf shuddered, dragged himself forward, and collapsed half out of the cage, gasping as if the air itself hurt him. Arya dropped to her knees, lantern beside her, a hand hovering over his fur. He didn't bite. He didn't even lift his head. He just lay there, breathing through pain she could feel even without touching him. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're free now." The wolf's eyes fluttered. A soft rumble, too weak to be a growl, vibrated in his chest. Arya dared to touch him. His fur was warm beneath her palm, warmer than it should have been. Feverish. Her little fingers brushed away some dirt near his wound. The wolf inhaled sharply. She froze. But instead of snapping his jaws, instead of warning her, he leaned into her touch. As if he needed it. As if it eased something deep inside him. As if he recognized her. Arya didn't know the word for it, but something ancient stirred between them, like a low hum beneath the earth. A pull. A thread. A connection. She lifted her lantern again, scanning the clearing. No footprints. No signs of whoever trapped him. Just the silent trees standing like witnesses. "Come," she whispered. "Let's go home. Papa has medicine. He can help you." At that, the wolf's muscles tightened. Not from pain. From fear. He pushed his head against her shoulder, urging her away from the path, toward the deeper woods. Arya shook her head quickly. "No, you're hurt. You'll die if we stay here. Please let me help you." But the wolf didn't move. He only stared at her with eyes that looked older than the forest itself. As if he had seen things she couldn't imagine. As if he knew something she didn't. Something coming. Something dangerous. Arya hugged herself. Then a twig snapped behind her. She spun around so fast the lantern swung wildly. Its light caught on shadows that didn't belong to trees. Shadows that moved. Arya backed toward the wolf instinctively. He forced himself upright barely. His legs shook. Blood dripped from his side. But he stood between her and the darkness anyway. Something growled in the trees. Not him. Not anything she had ever heard before. The wolf bared his teeth, a rumble rising inside him so deep she felt it in the ground beneath her feet. Arya grabbed his fur tightly. "Please," she whispered. "Don't die." The trees rustled. Branches snapped. The growl grew louder. Arya's fear spiked so sharply she couldn't breathe. The wolf turned his head toward her, golden eyes soft despite his pain. And then it happened. A sudden pulse of heat shot through her hand, through her arm, into her chest. Her vision blurred. The world tilted. The wolf gasped and staggered, as if the same pulse hit him too. Arya felt her heartbeat slam against her ribs. Once. Twice. A third time, hard enough to hurt. Her hand glowed faintly where it pressed against his fur. The wolf's eyes widened. For a moment they were not gold, but silver. Arya stumbled back in shock. The glow faded. Her breath came fast and shallow. "What was that?" she whispered, trembling. The wolf didn't answer. But he looked at her as if he knew exactly what happened. And exactly what she had become. The shadows in the trees moved closer. The wolf growled again, but it broke into a cough. Blood splattered onto the leaves. He couldn't fight. He could barely stand. Arya grabbed his fur again, pulling him toward the path. "Please," she begged. "We have to go." The wolf hesitated, then collapsed to his knees. His body trembled violently. His breathing turned ragged. For a moment she thought he would die right there. She threw her arms around his neck. "Don't leave me," she sobbed. "I found you. You can't leave me now." Something in her voice, her scent, her touch, made the wolf freeze. Then very slowly, painfully, he lifted himself again. He let her guide him. A little girl leading a dying beast through a forest that suddenly felt full of enemies. Every few steps he staggered. Every few breaths he whimpered softly. And every time he faltered, Arya whispered to him, "You're not alone. I'm here." The forest noises grew louder as if following them. Something stalked them. Something angry. Something hungry. The moment Arya reached the old river crossing, the wolf collapsed fully, legs giving out. Arya screamed and tried to pull him, but he was too heavy. "No, please, wake up, please." The wolf didn't move. "Don't die," she cried, shaking him. "I saved you. You have to live." The forest fell silent again. Unnaturally silent. Arya's tears dripped onto the wolf's fur. Then, without warning, his body jolted. Fur rippled. Bones shifted under skin. Arya screamed and scrambled backward as a low, agonized snarl tore from his throat. His back arched. His claws dug into the soil. His entire body trembled violently as if fighting something inside. Moonlight spilled over him. And the change began. Not fully. Not cleanly. But in broken, painful spasms. His legs lengthened. His torso twisted. His fur thinned in patches. Human skin appeared beneath blood and moonlight. Arya covered her mouth, eyes wide, heart pounding. The wolf wasn't a wolf. Not at all. He shifted halfway before collapsing, panting, body stuck between man and beast. His face was still partly wolfish, but his hands, those were human. Arya stared at him. He lifted his head weakly, eyes glowing faintly silver again. He tried to speak. A broken whisper escaped. "Run." Arya shook her head furiously, tears streaming. "Not without you." The shadows in the forest growled again, closer now. He forced his human hand forward, reaching for her. Not to push her away, but to hold onto her. Her tiny fingers wrapped around his. Warm again. Glowing faintly again. Arya gasped as the same pulse of heat shot through her palm. The wolf. The man. inhaled sharply as if revived by her touch. His eyes snapped open fully. Not gold. Not silver. Both. Blazing. He squeezed her hand gently, voice guttural, desperate. Don't let go. Arya didn't. She couldn't. The forest erupted behind them, branches breaking, snarls filling the air, footsteps pounding toward them. The half-shifted wolf tried to stand but collapsed again. Arya stood in front of him, fists clenched, shaking but refusing to move. She was just a child. But she would not abandon him. A final growl echoed from the trees. Something big approached the clearing. Arya whispered, "What are they?" The dying wolf lifted his head. His answer was breathless, but clear. "Rogues. They came for me. And now, they've scented you." Arya's heart dropped. The shadows stepped closer. The wolf's eyes burned brighter. And the forest held its breath. What happens to a little girl who frees a dying wolf and discovers he is not a creature of the forest, but a creature of destiny? The night trembled around them. And nothing would ever be the same. The forest did not sleep that night. Even after Arya dragged the half-shifted wolf toward the riverbank, even after the rogue's growls faded into the trees, the woods stayed restless, watching, listening, waiting. The air felt charged, as if the moon held its breath above them. Arya knelt beside the wolf, her tiny hands trembling as she brushed leaves and dirt from his cheek. His breathing was uneven, wild for a moment, then shallow, then shaking as if he were fighting a battle inside his own bones. He wasn't fully wolf. He wasn't fully human. And he was dying. Because of her, or because he refused to leave her. Arya wiped her face with the back of her hand and whispered, "Please stay awake. I know you can hear me." The wolf, half man, half beast, growled faintly. Not at her. Not at anything nearby. It was the sound of a creature in pain, a creature who had lived too long in chains, too long hunted. Arya didn't understand the world of wolves, or packs, or shifting curses. But she understood pain. She had lost her mother young. She had seen her father cry only once on the night Mama never came home. Pain had a shape. Pain had a smell. This wolf smelled like fear. And danger. And something else, something warm and ancient. He smelled like moonlight. Arya placed her small palm on his cheek again. The glow returned, soft, silver, pulsing gently as if matching the rhythm of the moon. The wolf's eyes fluttered open, unfocused but locked on her. He exhaled a shaky breath. Something eased in him, his shoulders dropping, his claws retracting slightly, his body less tense against the soil. He wasn't healed, but her touch kept him alive. A strange comfort moved through her chest, too, as if his heartbeat touched hers. "You're still here," she whispered. The wolf tried to lift his hand again, his human hand, and place it over hers. He managed half the distance before collapsing back onto the ground. Arya looked around. The night was so dark she could barely see the trees beyond the lantern light. The shadows still shifted, not rogues, perhaps, but the forest creatures unsettled by what had just happened. She had to get him somewhere safe. But where? Her father would panic at the sight of a wolf. The villagers would scream, grab weapons, and strike him down before she could say a word. No adult would ever believe her story. Not about the cage. Not about the shifting. Not about the silver glow in her hand. She had only one choice. "Come with me," she whispered. "Not to my house. There's an old shed near the edge of the forest. No one goes there anymore. I hide there sometimes when I'm sad. You can hide there too." He didn't respond. But when she pulled gently at him, his body jerked weakly, trying to move. She helped him up, using all her strength, her small frame shaking under his weight. Step by step, she guided him up the narrow path toward the shed. Each time he stumbled, she steadied him. "You saved me too," she murmured, though she didn't know why she said it. "When the rogues came, you stood in front of me." A low rumble vibrated in his chest, approval, protectiveness, or instinct she couldn't understand. The journey was slow. Painful. Each breath he took sounded like it scraped against broken ribs. But he kept going, because she kept holding his hand. Because she didn't let go. The shed appeared finally, half buried in vines, its wooden walls crooked with age. Arya pushed the door open and helped him inside. The moonlight poured through the gaps in the roof, painting him in pale silver. The moment he crossed the threshold, he collapsed again, gasping. Arya screamed softly, rushing to his side. No, no, please don't do that again. You said rogues were after you. You can't die now. He turned his head toward her, eyes hazy but aware. Something moved behind his gaze, something old and powerful buried beneath exhaustion. The way he looked at her wasn't the way an animal looked at a child. It was the way a guardian looks at the one person he's sworn to protect. He knew her. Or his wolf did. Or destiny did. Arya didn't know which one scared her more. She placed her hand over his heart. The glow flickered weakly. It wasn't strong enough this time, not like before. But the wolf gasped, arching slightly under her touch. Her warmth steadied him again. A bond was forming. Dangerous. Irreversible. Ancient. Arya didn't know that. She only knew it felt like something inside him pulled at something inside her. She backed up slightly to catch her breath. The wolf watched her through heavy eyelids, silent, alert, protective even in pain. Then something strange happened. As she knelt on the floorboards, staring at him, she sensed something move outside the shed. A quiet shift of leaves. A breath of cold air slipping through a crack in the wall. Her heart quickened. The wolf's ears twitched. He smelled it first. Then she heard it too. A slow step. Soft pause. Careful. Cautious. Close. Another wolf? Another rogue? Arya held her breath. The wolf beside her managed a low warning growl, though his strength barely supported it. A shadow moved behind the window. Arya crawled backward, fear gripping her throat. The wolf tried to lift himself, legs trembling violently, but fell again. His claws scraped the wooden floor weakly. The door creaked. Arya froze. The wolf forced himself upright one more time, shifting only enough to bare his fangs. His body shook uncontrollably, but he stood between her and the door. The door pushed open. Arya gasped. But it wasn't a rogue. It was a huge black wolf, scarred across the muzzle, one ear torn, eyes burning with intelligence and fury. The wolf who had watched her from the forest many times without her knowing. The wolf who guarded the woods from the shadows. The wolf who didn't trust humans, ever. He had followed her. He had followed them. The black wolf snarled at the wounded one on the floor, low, threatening. Arya stumbled forward instinctively, placing herself between them. "Stop," she cried. "Leave him alone." The black wolf froze, not because of her voice, but because of the glow. Her hand lit again. Bright this time. Stronger. Silver like the moon itself. The black wolf stepped back in shock. The wounded wolf behind her didn't growl. He didn't threaten. He bowed his head slightly, as if accepting her as something. The black wolf inhaled deeply, sensing the shift in the air. Arya looked between the two wolves, heart pounding, breath shaking. "What do you want?" she whispered. The black wolf took a single step forward and lowered his head. Submission. Not to her, but to whatever power touched her hand. He wasn't the enemy. He was confused. Studying her. Studying the bond between her and the dying wolf. Arya reached a hand toward him slowly. The black wolf flinched, then, after a long moment, allowed her to touch him. Her fingers brushed his fur. No glow. No heat. Nothing. The bond wasn't with him. He backed away slowly, understanding dawning in his dark eyes. He glanced once more at the dying wolf on the ground, then at Arya. Then he disappeared into the night as silently as he came. As if he had seen enough to know he could not challenge the bond forming before him. Arya sank to her knees, shaking again. The wounded wolf collapsed fully exhausted. "Why is this happening?" she whispered. "Why me?" He didn't answer. But he crawled forward, barely, until his head rested against her lap. Arya let out a soft sob and placed her hand on his cheek. Her palm glowed again. His breathing steadied. They stayed like that for a long time, moonlight dripping through the roof, dust floating in the air, forest whispering outside. The wolf didn't sleep. He watched her. Every blink slow. Every inhale careful. every movement deliberate. He watched her the way a dying soldier watches the last star before dawn, as if the sight of her kept him alive, as if her scent, her breath, her heartbeat were the only thing anchoring him to the world. Outside, something screamed in the distance. Not human, not wolf. Something hunting. Arya shivered. The wolf growled, weak but fierce, and forced himself closer to her, as if shielding her with whatever remained of his fading strength. She curled around him the way a child curls around a broken toy, terrified it will break more if she lets go. The shed creaked under the wind. Moonlight faded. Frost settled on the ground. And still, he watched her. Because even dying, even chained by fate, even hunted by rogues, he was hers now. And nothing in the forest dared touch her, while he still drew breath. What neither of them knew was that this night would be remembered decades later, as the moment everything began. The bond, the prophecy, the danger, the love, and the truth about what exactly she had awakened when she freed the dying wolf from his cage. The night crawled slowly toward dawn. Arya didn't sleep. She couldn't. Every few minutes the wounded wolf's body jerked, bones grinding, muscles spasming, as if something inside him fought to break free. His breath rattled, his heart stumbled, and each time he whimpered, the sound cut through her small chest like a knife. She kept her tiny hand on his cheek, refusing to move it even when her fingers went numb. The faint glow kept flickering beneath her skin, quieter now, but still there. A heartbeat within a heartbeat. The air in the old shed grew colder. Moonlight dimmed, slipping across the floorboards like shifting water. Arya whispered, "I'm right here. I won't leave you." The wolf stirred. Not a growl. A sigh. A human sound, almost. His fur shivered. Ripples traveled across his body. A low, pained hum escaped his throat. Arya's eyes widened as his spine arched again, slow, deliberate, not like the broken spasms from earlier. Something was changing. Something was choosing to rise. She scooted back slightly as his body lengthened, bones stretching with sickening cracks beneath his skin. His snout shortened. His jawline sharpened. Fur receded in some places, revealing bruised flesh, torn skin, and streaks of dried blood. The shed filled with the scent of heat and moonlight, warm metal, burning pine, something primal. "Are you turning back?" Arya whispered. He didn't respond with words. He responded with pain. His claws shrank, nails forming. His legs rearranged, shuddering violently. His breath shortened to sharp gasps. Arya reached for him instinctively, and the moment her fingers brushed his arm, the glow in her palm flared bright enough to splash across the walls. The wolf snarled in shock. But not at her. His body accepted her touch. The shift accelerated, as if her hand made the moon listen. Arya cried out as light burst from beneath his skin. Not a blinding light, but a trembling silver shimmer, like moonlight trapped under water. Bones snapped into place. Fur faded. Skin healed in tiny swirls where her touch lingered. And then, silence. A long, trembling silence that pressed against Arya's ears. The wolf collapsed onto his back. No, not a wolf. A boy. A young man, maybe 17 or 18, lay on the dusty floorboards, half naked, drenched in sweat, chest rising and falling in shallow, rasping breaths. His hair was dark and messy, sticking to his forehead. His skin, though bruised and scarred, glowed faintly in the moonlight, warm bronze kissed by silver. His lips were chapped. His eyelashes were long. And his eyes. Arya stared as they fluttered open. Not wolf gold. Not the silver glow from before. But both twisting, swirling, shifting like a storm struggling to settle. He inhaled sharply when he saw her. And for a moment, everything stopped. His eyes slowly widened, not in fear, but in a strange recognition. "You," he whispered, voice hoarse, barely a breath. Arya's heart jumped. He speaks. His lips curved slightly, almost a smile, but the moment cut short when he coughed violently, blood splattering onto his hand. Arya scooted closer and grabbed the bucket of water she had brought earlier. She dipped a piece of cloth in it and pressed it gently to his forehead. You're hurt. You turned back and now you're worse. Should I get Papa? He stiffened instantly, hands shooting out, gripping her wrist far too tightly. No. The word shook. No humans. Arya frowned. But Papa can help you. No, he rasped again, voice cracking. They'll kill me. Arya swallowed hard. He wasn't wrong. A naked, bleeding teenage boy collapsing in the woods would raise too many questions. What are you? She whispered. He opened his mouth, then winced in pain and looked away. Arya reached for his arm again without thinking. The glow answered her, soft, bright, alive. His entire body shivered under her touch. You, he whispered, staring at her glowing hand. How do you have that? She blinked. Have what? He didn't answer. His eyes drifted shut for a moment, breathing steadying slightly. The glow dimmed with his heartbeat. Arya brushed hair from his forehead the way Mama used to brush hers. You're safe here, she whispered. I'll take care of you. His lips parted as he inhaled shakily. His voice came like a confession breaking out of him. I should have died in that cage. No, Arya whispered fiercely. I wouldn't let you. Something like awe flickered across his face. No one had ever saved him before. No one had ever touched him without fear. No one had spoken to him without trembling. Except this small girl with trembling hands and moonlit eyes. He swallowed hard. What is your name? Arya. He repeated it softly, as if memorizing a secret. Then he whispered something else. My name is Kale. Arya tilted her head. Kale, she repeated, trying it on her small tongue. He shuddered again, not from pain this time, but from the strange warmth that rose inside him when she said his name. Kale closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. When he opened them again, there was a storm inside those swirling gold-silver irises. He whispered, You shouldn't have helped me. Arya frowned. But you were hurting. And now you're in danger, he rasped. Those rogues, they didn't trap me because I was weak. They trapped me to draw out. He stopped suddenly, jaw tightening. Draw out what? She whispered. Kale turned his head away. His shoulders shook, not from cold, but from a truth he wasn't ready to give her. You freed me from death, he whispered. But you tied yourself to something far worse. Arya hugged her knees, confused and scared. What do you mean? Kale's breath hitched painfully. He tried to sit up, but cried out and collapsed again. Arya rushed to him, pressing her glowing hand to his ribs. Silver shimmer rippled through him again. He gasped, eyes widening at the relief, small but real. You're healing me, he whispered. How is that possible? Arya shrugged helplessly. I don't know. I just want you to feel better. Kale stared at her, stunned. No one had ever wanted that for him. Not genuinely. Not selflessly. His fingers brushed her hand, tentative, trembling. The glow flared again. Kale inhaled sharply. His voice dropped raw. You're not normal. Arya frowned. I know. Papa says I'm strange because I talk to birds sometimes. No, Kale whispered, shaking his head weakly. That glow, your scent, the way you pulled me back from the shift. He stopped, swallowing hard, struggling to find words. He wasn't just looking at her. He was seeing her. Seeing something ancient marked in her bones. Something dormant. Something she awakened when she touched the dying wolf. Kale, Arya whispered. Why were you in that cage? His jaw clenched. Arya reached for his hand gently. Please tell me. He closed his eyes again, long, pained. When he spoke, the truth came out like a broken blade. I'm the heir of a pack that wants me dead. Arya froze. Kale continued, voice strained. They trapped me, beat me, chained me. They were waiting for my power to break completely. They wanted me weak enough to kill. But why? Arya whispered. He opened his eyes, and the gold-silver storm swirled again. Because I have something they fear, he whispered. Something that shouldn't exist. Arya swallowed hard. What is it? Kale looked directly at her. You. The shed fell silent. Arya's breath caught in her throat. Kale turned his hand palm up, letting the moonlight hit it. Your glow answered me. Your scent, your heartbeat, you woke the bond. Arya stiffened. What bond? Kale held her gaze, eyes softening even in pain, even near death. He looked at her with a strange gentleness. A soul thread, he said. Old as the moon. Older than my pack. Something that should have stayed asleep. He swallowed, voice trembling. You touched me, and destiny woke up. Arya's heartbeat thudded loudly in her ears. I don't understand. You're not supposed to yet, Kale whispered. You're too young. Too human. Too untrained. The bond shouldn't have chosen you this early. Arya blinked, breathing fast. Kale reached up weakly, cupping her glowing hand in his trembling fingers. And, because the bond woke, he whispered, the ones who want me dead will want you dead too. Arya's breath hitched. Her eyes filled with tears. Kale's voice softened, barely a breath. But I'll protect you. Even if it kills me. He closed his eyes as exhaustion dragged him down, body still half-healed, breath uneven. Arya stared at him, heart pounding with fear, confusion, and something warm she didn't have a name for. Outside, the wind howled. Inside the shed, Kale's hand tightened weakly around hers, even in sleep. He was still watching her. Still listening. Still guarding her. Because even half-dead and newly shifted, Kale had accepted the truth the moment her glow touched him. She was the one thing he could not leave. And the one thing his enemies would hunt. As dawn crept slowly toward the forest, Arya curled beside him, head resting on his shoulder, their breaths falling into the same quiet rhythm. A child and a dying wolf boy, bound by an ancient thread neither of them understood. A bond that had only one question left. If destiny tied them together this young, what would happen when she grew older? Morning crept quietly into the forest. It didn't arrive with bright sunlight or warm air, it came in thin streaks of pale gold sliding through cracks in the old shed, brushing against dust floating in the stillness. The forest outside was hushed, as if holding its breath after a long night of danger. Arya woke slowly, her cheek pressed against something warm. She blinked. Kale. He was still lying beside her, half wrapped in the torn blanket she had dragged from her father's barn. His breathing was soft but steady, no longer rattling painfully. His skin wasn't as pale. The bruises, though still dark, didn't look as angry. Her small hand was still resting over his heart. And beneath her palm, the glow pulsed gently, barely visible in the daylight. Kale didn't stir, but his heartbeat shifted under her touch. Faster, then slower, then matching the rhythm of her own. Arya lifted her head carefully. Kale's eyes were closed, but his expression wasn't pained anymore. His jaw was relaxed, his lashes resting softly on his cheeks. He looked younger like this, more boy than beast, more fragile than dangerous. Her fingers brushed a lock of his messy hair away from his face. He shivered. Not from cold. From her touch. Arya froze. Did that hurt? No. His voice came raw and quiet, barely above a whisper. His eyes opened slowly, gold swirling with silver, not as violent as before, but soft. Your hand, he rasped. It feels warm. Arya looked down at her palm. The glow flickered faintly like a shy firefly. I don't know why it does that. Kale exhaled shakily. I do. Arya blinked. Why? He turned his head, staring up at the ceiling boards as if the truth would fall from them. The bond woke last night, he murmured. It answered you. It chose you. Arya hugged her knees. I don't understand any of that. Kale looked at her, really looked, his eyes tracing her face as if trying to memorize every detail. You will, he whispered. One day. Silence settled again, soft and heavy. Arya dipped the cloth into the bucket and pressed it gently against his shoulder. Kale inhaled sharply, not from pain but from the shock of her cool touch. You don't have to, he murmured. I want to, she said quietly. Kale's throat bobbed. She cleaned his arms next, wiping away dried blood and dirt. She worked slowly, her movements small and careful. Each time her hand touched his skin, the glow pulsed. Kale's eyes softened, his breath steadying. He didn't speak. He watched her. He watched the way her eyebrows scrunched when she concentrated. The way her lips pressed together in worry. The way her small fingers trembled when she found a deep bruise. Arya whispered, Does this hurt? No, his voice was nearly a sigh. It feels safe. Arya blinked up at him, confused. Safe? Kale nodded weakly. No one has touched me like this since. He stopped. The sentence broke before it reached the air. Arya didn't pry. She just cleaned him, little by little, wiping away the evidence of the cage, the beating, the fear. Cale's jaw unclenched. His eyes fluttered. His breathing slowed, calmer than it had been since she found him. Silent intimacy settled between them. Not romantic. Not something either truly understood. But deep. Instinctive. Ancient. Arya lifted the cloth again, but Cale reached out suddenly, his fingers brushing her wrist. She froze. "Arya," he whispered. "You haven't slept." She shook her head. "I'm not tired." "You're lying." She frowned. "I don't lie." Cale's lips twitched in a faint, pained smile. "Then you're stubborn." "I'm 6. "That's worse." Arya gasped in mock offense. "I'm trying to help you." Cale's smile grew, weak but real. His hand rested over hers, fingers warm against her skin. "You are helping me," he said softly. "More than you know." Arya blushed, though she didn't understand why. Cale's hand didn't let hers go. Her glow pulsed between their palms. A quiet spark. A gentle thread. A silent promise. Arya whispered, "Are you still hurting?" Cale's gaze drifted to the ceiling again. "Yes, but not the same way." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" He closed his eyes. "My body hurts less. But my wolf, he's restless." "Why?" Cale opened his eyes slowly. "Because he wants to be close to you." Arya blinked, confused. "Close? Like, beside me?" Cale shook his head. "Closer." The air thickened. Not with fear. With something ancient and instinctive Cale couldn't explain to a child. Something his wolf understood deeply, the pull of a bond that never should have awakened this early. Arya crawled a little closer, misunderstanding completely. "Is this close enough?" Cale swallowed hard. His wolf inside him growled softly, protectively, possessively, but Cale restrained it, burying the sound instead of frightening her. "Why, yes," he whispered. "That's close enough." Arya pressed her ear to his chest. His heart thudded loudly against her cheek. Strong. Warm. Alive. Cale sucked in a breath, fingers twitching at his sides. Her small voice cracked softly. "I thought you were going to die." "I almost did." Arya squeezed his hand. "I don't want you to die." Cale's breath broke. Inside him, his wolf pushed forward, nudging him emotionally, urging him to respond. To comfort her. To protect her. To claim the bond the moon had awakened. Cale lifted a shaky hand and placed it gently on her hair. His fingers threaded into her curls. Soft. Careful. Protective. Arya sighed, melting into the touch like a kitten leaning into warmth. Cale closed his eyes. He didn't deserve this gentleness. He didn't deserve her trust. But the bond didn't choose based on who deserved what. It chose based on destiny. Cale whispered, "Arya, I don't know how to keep you safe." "You already did," she whispered. "Last night." "That wasn't enough." "It was to me." Cale inhaled sharply, throat tight. Arya curled beside him, resting her head on his arm. She closed her eyes finally, slowly, breathing softly, her small chest rising and falling in a peaceful rhythm. Cale stared at her. He didn't blink. His wolf didn't blink. They watched her as she drifted to sleep. They listened to her heartbeat, soft, steady, pure. They memorized her scent, warm pine, soft honey, morning air. Cale whispered into the quiet, "I will protect you." The promise wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was soft. Sacred. Sworn in silence. Hours passed. Arya slept curled against him like a little fox kit. Cale lay awake, unable to sleep even though he needed it. He didn't dare close his eyes. The rogues might return. The forest might shift. The world might break. He didn't care. He cared only about the girl who had given him something no one else ever had. A reason to live. As afternoon light warmed the shed, Cale reached toward her face, brushing a fallen curl from her cheek. The glow shimmered faintly again, responding automatically. His wolf purred softly deep inside him. Not a threat. A vow. Arya stirred in her sleep, pressing closer to him. Cale froze. Her heartbeat touched his. Her scent wrapped around him. Her small hand slipped into his, and the bond pulsed between them. Quiet, tender, unbreakable. Kale whispered into the stillness. You were never supposed to find me. He brushed his thumb over her hand. But I'm glad you did. Outside, the shadows shifted. Something watched the shed. Something neither of them sensed yet. Kale stiffened suddenly, eyes narrowing. Arya woke with a soft gasp, rubbing her eyes. What's wrong? She whispered. Kale didn't answer. He listened. He smelled the air. His pupils narrowed into slits. He growled low, deep, vibrating through the floorboards. A warning. Arya clung to his arm. Kale. He turned to her, voice trembling. They found us. Arya's breath stopped. Kale pushed himself upright, still weak, still wounded, but ready. Her glow flared. Their bond tightened. And the forest outside fell silent, waiting for the danger stepping closer. Kale's growl vibrated through the floorboards. Not loud. Not showy. Not the roar of an alpha. Something deeper. Older. A warning pulled from the roots of the forest. Arya felt it before she heard it, the low hum in her bones, the prickling at the back of her neck, the chill sweeping through the shed like a ghost slipping through the cracks. She clutched Kale's arm. Who found us? She whispered, voice trembling. Kale didn't look at her. His eyes were locked on the door, pupils narrow, breath steady but sharp. The one who trapped me, he murmured. The rogue alpha. The bloodhound. Arya swallowed hard. The bloodhound. Kale nodded once. He tracks scents. Not normal scents. Bond scents. Arya's heart dropped. Bond, like the one between us? Kale's jaw clenched. Yes. When the bond woke last night, it created a scent only wolves with old blood can track. He must have felt it. Arya's hand started glowing again without her meaning to. Kale grabbed it quickly, covering the light with his palm. His gold and silver eyes softened only for a heartbeat. Don't let them see that, he whispered. Your glow is a beacon. Arya nodded, pressing her glowing hand against her chest. The shed walls creaked. Kale stiffened. Stay behind me, he breathed. But you're still hurt, Arya whispered. I'll heal. You're lying again. Kale didn't deny it this time. He pulled her gently behind him and rose to his feet. Pain tore through him instantly, sharp, deep, electric. His legs almost buckled, his ribs screamed, his chest tightened. But he didn't fall. He couldn't. Not with Arya trembling behind him. He inhaled once. Twice. His wolf surged. His eyes flashed silver. Then gold. Then both. Kale. Arya whispered. He didn't respond. He was slipping. Not out of control, but out of fear. Out of weakness. Out of the version of himself the rogues tried to kill in that cage. His wolf rose because Arya needed him. Because she was marked by the bond. Because their scent together was a declaration he couldn't erase. She is mine to protect. A shadow passed by the window. Kale growled, low and lethal. Arya squeezed her hands together. Kale, I'm scared. I know, he whispered. Stay close. The shed door rattled. Arya gasped. Something heavy brushed against it. Something breathing. Something waiting. Kale stepped forward, placing himself fully between Arya and whatever hunted them. The door cracked open slowly, the wood splintering. A voice seeped through the gap, cold and amused. Well, little Kale. I knew you weren't dead. Arya clung tighter to Kale's shirt. The rogue alpha stepped inside. He was enormous, towering, broad-shouldered, wrapped in torn dark clothes stained with mud and dried blood. Scars crossed his face in deep jagged slashes. His eyes glowed red, swirling like dying embers. Not natural red. Corrupted red. The eyes of a wolf who had thrown away his pack, his honor, his soul. His gaze landed on Kale first. Kale straightened. Pain tore through him, but he didn't show it. His wolf refused to bend. The rogue alpha smirked. Still standing, he mused. Impressive, pup. I underestimated your blood. Should have cut your throat while you slept. Kale's breath trembled once. Just once. Then he stepped forward. Leave her out of this. The rogue laughed darkly. Oh, Kale. You think I came for you? Kale didn't move. Arya's heartbeat hammered in her tiny chest. The rogue inhaled deeply through his nose. Then his eyes landed on her. Arya felt cold drop through her stomach like a stone. "There it is," the rogue whispered. Her scent, the glow, the bond. Kale growled so violently the shed wall shook. The rogue alpha's grin widened. "You bonded with a human child? That's a crime older than the mountain packs. A forbidden bond. A dangerous bond. A powerful bond." Arya stepped back, trembling. Kale snarled, stepping forward to block her completely. "Don't touch her." The rogue tilted his head. "Oh, I won't hurt her. Not yet. Not if you come with me willingly." Kale's breath stopped. Arya felt him freeze. The rogue's gaze sharpened. "I wasn't trapping you in that cage just to kill you. I was waiting for something that would break you, and the moon goddess delivered this little girl to the forest." Kale's fists clenched. The rogue continued, voice dripping poison. "She has awakened something in you, something old. Something I need. She is the key. And once I have her, I'll remake the packs. A new era. A new power." Kale trembled, not from fear. From rage. Deep, primal, ancient. "She's not yours," Kale growled, voice breaking with fury. The rogue smirked. "Then give her to me." Kale lunged. The shift ripped through him instantly, violent and raw. Bones cracked, fur exploded across his skin midair, claws extended. He didn't shift fully. His body was too broken. But he shifted enough. Enough to fight. Kale collided with the rogue, claws slashing, teeth snapping. The rogue staggered, surprised by the sudden attack. Arya screamed and backed into the corner. The wolf and the alpha crashed against the wall, with splintering, dust exploding everywhere. Kale's claws dug into the rogue's arm, tearing flesh. The rogue roared in fury and threw Kale across the shed. Kale hit the wall so hard Arya felt the impact through the floor. "Kale." He struggled to stand, blood dripping from his mouth. The rogue laughed again. "You're broken, boy. Barely healed. Why die for a human child?" Kale wiped blood from his lips. His wolf's voice rumbled through the air. "Because she is mine to protect." The rogue's grin vanished. Kale charged again. Their battle shook the whole shed, wood cracking, the roof rattling, dust raining from above. The rogue was stronger. Bigger. Fully healed. But Kale fought like something ancient had awakened inside him. Arya's hand glowed uncontrollably. Bright. Silver. Wild. The rogue noticed. His eyes widened. That glow. Her glow. Kale used the distraction, slashing hard across the rogue's chest. Blood sprayed across the wall. The rogue roared, grabbing Kale by the throat and slamming him into the floor so hard the boards broke beneath him. "Kale!" Arya cried, running toward them. The rogue snarled at her. "Stay there if you want to live, girl." Arya didn't stop. The glow around her hand flared brighter. 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 Kale choked, struggling against the rogue's grip. Arya grabbed Kale's arm. The glow exploded. The rogue screamed, a sound not human, not wolf, something monstrous. He stumbled back as silver light wrapped around Kale's body, spreading through his skin, his veins, his bones. Kale inhaled violently, eyes snapping open, glowing brighter than ever. Gold. Silver. Bonded. Power tore through him like lightning. The rogue alpha tried to stand. But Kale was already moving. He struck with speed no wounded wolf should have. No teenage boy should have. No half-shifted creature should have. The rogue flew across the shed, crashing through the wall. Kale stood in front of Arya, chest heaving, claws extended, eyes blazing. The rogue staggered outside, coughing blood. He stared at Kale, terrified. "That glow, your bond gave you power." Kale growled. "Leave. Now." The rogue spat blood. "This isn't over. The packs will come for you. For her. That child is the key. And I will claim her." "No," Kale snarled, stepping forward. "You won't. My pack will smell her scent, her glow, her destiny." The rogue smirked. "And they will come." He vanished into the trees, limping but alive. Kale collapsed the moment the rogue disappeared. Arya dove toward him, catching his shoulders despite his weight. "Kale." He breathed sloppily, chest shaking. Blood ran from his lips. He was pale again, too pale. His claws retracted, his fur fading, body shifting painfully back toward human. Arya's glow flickered in panic. Kale, please, no, stay with me. He opened his eyes weakly. Arya, he swallowed blood. You awakened something in me, in us. Arya sobbed. I didn't mean to. I know, he whispered. It's not your fault. She pressed both hands to his cheeks. Her glow flared. Kale gasped as his breath steadied a little. Arya cried harder. I can't, I don't know how to help you. Kale lifted one trembling hand and placed it over hers. You already did, he whispered. You saved me, again. Arya wiped her face with her sleeve. What do we do now, she whispered. Power tore through him like lightning. The rogue alpha tried to stand. But Kale was already moving. He struck with speed no wounded wolf should have. No teenage boy should have. No half-shifted creature should have. The rogue flew across the shed, crashing through the wall. Kale stood in front of Arya, chest heaving, claws extended, eyes blazing. The rogue staggered outside, coughing blood. He stared at Kale, terrified. That glow, your bond gave you power. Kale growled. Leave. Now. The rogue spat blood. This isn't over. The Pax will come for you. For her. That child is the key. And I will claim her. No, Kale snarled, stepping forward. You won't. My pack will smell her scent, her glow, her destiny. The rogue smirked. And they will come. He vanished into the trees, limping but alive. Kale collapsed the moment the rogue disappeared. Arya dove toward him, catching his shoulders despite his weight. Kale. He breathed sloppily, chest shaking. Blood ran from his lips. He was pale again, too pale. His claws retracted, his fur fading, body shifting painfully back toward human. Arya's glow flickered in panic. Kale, please, no, stay with me. He opened his eyes weakly. Arya, he swallowed blood. You awakened something in me, in us. Arya sobbed. I didn't mean to. I know, he whispered. It's not your fault. She pressed both hands to his cheeks. Her glow flared. Kale gasped as his breath steadied a little. Arya cried harder. I can't, I don't know how to help you. Kale lifted one trembling hand and placed it over hers. You already did, he whispered. You saved me, again. Arya wiped her face with her sleeve. What do we do now, she whispered. Kale closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them slowly. His voice came like a prophecy breaking free. They will come for us both. Arya trembled. Kale squeezed her hand. But I will never, never let anyone take you. Arya leaned into him, crying softly. Kale wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close despite his pain. Outside, the forest howled. Not from wind. From wolves. Many wolves. Tracking the bond. Tracking the child. Tracking the boy she saved. The danger had only begun. And destiny was coming for them both.